Great. Well, let's get started. So, very briefly, give you an overview of the work of World Child Cancer. So, we work in four main areas. The first is around early diagnosis. So, we're always looking at ways that we can try and increase the number of children being diagnosed, but particularly the number of children being diagnosed early. And if they're diagnosed early, there's obviously more chance of the treatment being effective. The main piece of work that we do around this is what we refer to as our early warning signs and symptoms work, which is about us going out and teaching healthcare professionals and local communities about the early warning signs and symptoms of childhood cancer. The second area that we work in is around improving treatment. So we're always looking at ways that we can try and improve the treatment available to children with cancer. One of the main things that we do in this area is we have partnerships with healthcare professionals in the UK and the US, and with healthcare professionals, and they partner with healthcare professionals in the countries where we work. The third area that we work in is around advocacy. So through our advocacy work, we are always trying to increase the understanding and awareness amongst governments and policymakers about why and how they can invest in childhood cancer services. And finally, our fourth area of work is our family support, which is the psychosocial support work that we do, which is what this webinar is focusing on today. So about the psychosocial support work that we do, through this work, we are always looking at ways that we can try and improve the quality of life and well-being of the families that we're working with. We also look at ways that we can try and reduce the number of families who are abandoning the treatment. And there are a number of different reasons why families might make that decision to abandon treatment. And that might be due to the financial impact of having a child with cancer. It may be the emotional impact. It might be the impact it's having on the other siblings or other family members. But we also know that one of the reasons that families sometimes abandon treatment is due to a lack of understanding and knowledge about childhood cancer and about the treatment and about the whole process that goes with it. So at World Child Cancer, what we do is we provide financial support to families, we provide emotional support, we provide practical support, and we also provide educational support. And we're always looking at ways that we can provide this support in a really holistic way and always in ways that we can empower the family members. We know that families, they are going through one of the most painful and difficult experiences of their lives. And they are thrown into this new environment in the hospital, some of them first time that they've actually been to the hospital, and they're suddenly surrounded by all these doctors and all these nurses and all this complex treatment and machineries and technical words, and all of this can just be completely overwhelming and terrifying for families. We also know that particularly with children, there's a real fear of the unknown. And it can be really hard for children to know who to ask questions to and who to talk to about this deep fear that they're experiencing. Another problem that we experience in the countries where we're working is that the healthcare professionals are so busy and often short-staffed, and so they lack time to spend talking to children and families about the illness and about the treatment. We find that there's one way that we can really try and ease some of this trauma that families are experiencing, and also to try and reduce the number of families that decide to abandon the treatment. And that is to provide families with information about childhood cancer and about treatment and about what might go on when they're in the hospital. And in the countries where we work, this is really lacking at the moment. And to be honest, in most places, it's just non-existent. So we were incredibly excited when we came into contact with Dom and the team at Exploro last year. And I'm going to leave it to Dom to give you a detailed overview of Exploro, but just briefly to say it's basically an app which uses gameplay and artificial intelligence to educate and share information about childhood cancer with children. And it was at some point last year that Dom showed me the app for the first time, and I was really quite blown away by the app the first time I saw it. It's incredibly beautiful, it's incredibly informative. And for me personally, I think the reason I was so blown away by it is because I've spent quite a lot of time working with families face to face in the countries where we work, and I could instantly see the impact this app was going to have on the children and their experience of being in the hospital. And I've got just a couple of quotes that I wanted to share with you from the time that we've been using the app in one of our hospitals in Ghana. An 8-year-old boy said, "It helped me to learn about the treatments and the scams, so I'm not afraid anymore." And then I got a quote from our child life specialist in Ghana who was helping us with the pilots. And she says, "Exploro relieves the fear of the children and educates them about the ways of the hospital." So what I'd like to do now is introduce you to Dom Rayburn, who is the co-founder and CEO of Exploro. You're very welcome, Dom, and thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks so much for that intro, Megan. That's lovely. And hello, everyone. Delighted to be here. So I'm going to do a short screen share presentation and just walk you through a few slides, and then we'll go into a demo. But first, let me just. So the host has disabled screen sharing. Could the host just enable screen sharing for me? Right, we should be good to go, I think. Yeah, great. So I'm going to start by talking about this young woman. She's called Izzy. She's my daughter. And this photo was taken on the top of the Empire State Building. And it's a very, very significant photo for us as a family. It was taken 2 years after my daughter came out of cancer treatment. And the charity When You Wish Upon a Star had paid for Izzy to have a wish. And her wish was to travel to do a road trip up the east coast of the United States that culminated in a visit to New York. And we're stood on the top of the Empire State Building, kind of reflecting on the journey that we've all been on, but particularly the journey that Izzy's been on. So she was diagnosed with Ewing sarcoma in November 2011, and she went through a horrendous year of treatment. She was treated at 6 different hospitals, including 10 weeks in the United States, where she had proton beam therapy. And fortunately, she came out with a really good prognosis, and she's now 10 years cancer free. In fact, she graduated from university just last week, so she's doing great. But when she came out of treatment, I did what many parents do, which is kind of reflect on that experience and think about how I could use my professional skills, which are primarily in design and software development, to improve the experience for other children going through cancer treatment. So I reflected on what was missing from Izzy's treatment, and what was missing was information. So she had no information about the treatments that would be applied to her, no information about the people she would meet, and no information about the environments that she was going into. And the net effect of that on my daughter was that she was she was reluctant to engage with treatments, and she was scared to go into hospitals because she didn't know what to expect. And the long-term effect of that on my daughter now, 10 years later, is that she's mistrustful of health services. But that problem's not unique to Izzy, as Megan alluded in her intro. So there's generally a lack of age-appropriate information for children going through cancer treatment. And we know that if you provide patients with appropriate information prior to an intervention, they experience reduced anxiety, and that can lead to better clinical outcomes. And that reduction in anxiety has benefits for the hospital systems too, in the sense that you get less repeat procedures, less did not attends, you get more compliance. So it's really important to reduce anxiety for patients going through any kind of treatment, but particularly a prolonged treatment like cancer treatment. So that led me to develop Exploro, which, as you'll see very shortly, uses 3D augmented reality models, an artificially intelligent avatar guide, and a series of games to reduce anxiety for children going through treatment. Just before we go into the demo, I just want to talk about a research study that we did a couple of years ago in Royal Manchester Children's Hospital, and that involved 80 children, 40 with access to Exploro and 40 with access to standard healthcare information. And what the researchers found was that those children with access to Exploro demonstrated a statistically significant reduction in procedural anxiety, as well as statistically significant increases in both patient satisfaction and knowledge about procedures. And finally, just before we go into the demo, I just want to briefly talk about the work we're doing with World Child Cancer. So it's so exciting for me to be able to support World Child Cancer. We operate commercially in the United Kingdom and in the States, but we know that for children in low and middle income countries, they will not have access to resources like Exploro. So we've decided to give World Child Cancer unlimited free access to support children in those low and middle income countries. And as Megan said, that started last November with a very successful trial in Ghana. And after I've finished my demo, I'm going to hand back over to Megan to talk a bit about where we're going next with that. So I'm going to just switch screen shares and switch to the app so that I can demo that to you. So just bear with me 1 second. Okay, so you should now be able to see my iPad screen. So I'm going to go into Exploro. And it will just take a second to load. So we're currently available in UK and US English, Castilian Spanish and Latin American Spanish. I'll just press the forward arrow and tap Yep, let me in. Now I've just got to enter a 3-word code to get into the app, so just bear with me whilst I enter that. This is unique to the child. Okay, so now we're into the app, and you'll see a present bouncing around. If I tap that present, out pops an avatar, and the whole point of Exploro is that the child customizes and creates an avatar, and that avatar then becomes their guide through their healthcare journey. Now, at this stage, yes.
Dom, sorry, can I just introduce it? Mine's, oh, now it's come up. Sorry, yes, I think it was just a little bit behind yours. It's fine.
Oh, right. Do let me know if there's any lag again, Megan, because I'll wait for it to catch up. So,
sure. No, I'm with you now. Yes, thank you.
Great. So at this point, the avatar carries no gender or racial alignment, so it's up to the child to decide how their avatar looks. So I'll just tap the forward arrow, and it says I'm here to show you around Exploro. Has that advanced, Megan?
No, I think it's just a little bit behind yours.
Oh, right. Okay. I'll wait for
Here,
wait for
he's
it to
here now. He's,
there
yeah.
it is, places. So I'll tap the forward arrow again, and it says, first, could you help me choose my look? So I'm going to tap the button that says customize my look. And now I can change some of the characteristics of the avatar. So I'll just change the skin tone.
We're still a bit behind you.
Are you?
Yeah.
Right. That's a shame. I wonder why that is. I wonder if it's worth me stopping sharing and resharing. Let me just try that.
Sure. Okay, yes, that seems better because the avatar's moving now. Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay,
Yeah.
great. So I'm just going to put some clothes on the avatar and some hair. And one of the things that we can do in the avatar customizer, which you can't do in other avatar customizers, is we can have our avatar in a wheelchair or wearing a face mask. I'm going to go with the first aid kit and tap done. So there's my avatar. And the next thing we're going to do is give the avatar a name. Now, what we did for the trial in Ghana was we got the children over in Ghana to come up with some ideas for avatar first names and second names. So what you're seeing here is the Ghanaian name set. We have a different name set for children in the UK. So I'm just going to choose a first name and a second name. And tap done. So Kwesi Aboshi, and I'll tap the forward arrow. So now it says it's time for me to enter your world. And if I tap the forward arrow again, what's going to happen is my camera is going to be activated. And when I hold up my device, you can see my desk there. In a second, a balloon is going to appear. And when that balloon turns green, if I tap it, there's Kwesi stood on my desk, and I can move him around and make him bigger and smaller. And that's just about making the avatar feel real to the child. So I'm going to just tap that green balloon. And now we've gone through the onboarding and we're into the main body of the app. So here we are on the home page. And just before we go on, I'll just explain a couple of features on the home page. So whenever you see this red balloon top right as we're going through the demo, that means that you can see something in augmented reality. So if I tap it now, Kwesi will walk out through the door and appear in the real world, and then I can bring him back by tapping the balloon again. So back he comes. And then the other thing to point out is that you'll always see my avatar in that speech bubble bottom left of the screen. Now that's because at any point I can ask my avatar a question. The clever thing about this, if I ask something like, will my operation hurt? It understands my phonetic spelling and has given me 3 options. So is my operation going to hurt? Now all of this can be spoken, so the child doesn't need any reading ability. It's just very difficult to give a demo when text to speech is turned on, but all of this can be spoken out and the child can input their questions in speech as well. So I'm going to talk you through the menu. I'll just go up to the menu icon top left. And I'm going to start with the picture of a physician at 11 o'clock on the dial. It's really confusing when you come into a hospital understanding who everyone is and what they do. And so here we've got a list of all of the staff roles you're likely to encounter. And this is a list, this was a custom list specifically for the hospital in Ghana. So you can see here are all the staff members. I'm going to show you the radiographer. So if I tap radiographer, now what the child can do here is if they tap the pencil bottom left of the screen, they can customize that radiographer so that it looks like their own radiographer. So I'm just going to change the radiographer slightly. Let's change the hairstyle. We'll maybe take the glasses off, and we'll change the eye shape as well. And tap done. So there's my radiographer, and I can give her a name. Let's say she's called Susie. And what this does is it helps the child form relationships with the clinical staff that are looking after them. And what we find is that very often children co-create these avatars with the healthcare professionals that they're working with. So if I go back through the list, you can see there's Susie, my radiographer, and I could go on, I could create another radiographer if I want, or I could go on and customize all the others. So I'll go up to the menu. I'm going to go anti-clockwise into the treatments section, and this is where we explain a whole range of treatments and procedures to children. So I'm going to show you the MRI. MRIs are particularly scary pieces of equipment. They make horrible noise. You're in there for at least 20 minutes, sometimes much longer. So here's an MRI scanner, and you can see it's got an orange glow around it. And whenever you see an orange glow, that just means you can tap the object. So if I tap it, it says MRI scanner. And I'll tap the forward arrow, and now we can see an exploded view of the scanner. And if I tap around that model, I can find out what all of the component parts do. And I'll tap the forward arrow again. The model comes back together, and then the next thing we're going to see is the control room is going to come into view. So there's the control room, and you can see there's a monitor in the control room. If I tap that monitor, I can see what an MRI scan actually looks like. And that's actually my daughter that you're looking at there. So I'm going to close that and tap the forward arrow. And you can see now that Susie, the radiographer's just appeared in the scene. And that's because all of those avatars are contextual. So if I would customize, say, a surgeon and I was in the operating room, it would be my surgeon that appeared there. So I'll tap the forward arrow again, and it's telling me about the noise an MRI makes and that I should wear earplugs and headphones. And what you can hear now is the sound of the MRI. If I move that slider at the top of the screen, I can drown out the sound of the MRI and listen to music. I'm going to come out of there and quickly go on to another section, which is the games. So here we have a selection of games. Some of these are multiplayer, and all of them have some medical learning attached. So I'm going to show you a game called Plasma Patrol. And Plasma Patrol is all about how leukemia is treated. So if I tap the Learn More button, the object of the game is to collect platelets, lymphocytes, vitamins, chemotherapy, and iron to destroy cancer cells and to avoid white blood cells, fat cells, pathogens, and dead cells. So let me just quickly show you how this is played. I'm going to tap the Play Solo button. Here's my avatar running down the hospital corridor, and in a second they're going to jump into a spaceship, and then we'll see them arrive in the bloodstream. So here we go. I'm not very good at this, by the way. So here we are, we're in the bloodstream. I'm controlling the rocket with my finger bottom left. Those things that have just lit up are white blood cells. I've got to avoid them if I can. Oh, I've just got a white blood cell. There's some chemotherapy there. If I can get that. Oh, no. I got a power up from the chemotherapy, but I destroyed some white blood cells in the process. So I'm going to stop there. As you can see, like I said, I'm not very good. Children are really good at it, though. And I'm going to exit the game. And now I'm going to go back to the menu, and I'm going to jump past the home screen and go to the environments. So one of the things that we did for the trial in Ghana was we realised that our UK hospital environments were inappropriate for an African audience. So we actually modelled the interiors of the hospital in Ghana. I'm going to show you the ward environment. And for this, I'm going to tap that red balloon and just going to, oops, try again. I'm going to tap the red balloon, and I'm just going to wait for it to appear on my desk. And when it turns green, I'll tap it. And, oh, it's actually, that's not working. So I'll show you not in augmented reality. So here's the hospital environment, and you can see we've got some avatars walking around there, and it's just really useful for children to be able to see what the hospital is like before they visit it. We've also got treatment room, and again you can see what the treatment room looks like, and it's an experience very much like The Sims. Okay, so I'm going to come out of there, and I'm just going to very quickly jump around to the calendar and show you the calendar functionality. So it's really important for children going through treatment to feel like they have some control over what's happening in their day. And the way the calendar works is it works in conjunction with our management system and with our parent application. So clinicians can enter calendar events in the management system, which appear in the child's calendar. Parents can do the same in the parent application, and children can enter their own events too. And they do that by tapping the big plus button. So let's say I've got a scan coming up. I'll just save that event. And I can add some notes about it if I want. So I'll tap save, and you can see there's a big question mark next to the event that I've just created. Now, before I show you what the question mark does, I just want to talk briefly about our expert advisory board. Our expert advisory board is unlike most expert advisory boards in that they're all children. The youngest is 8, the oldest is 16. They come from a very diverse range of experiences. Half of them have been through cancer treatment, some of them lifelong cancer treatment, and the other half have never been into hospital, never had anything significantly wrong. And this next feature, which I'm going to show when I tap on the question mark, is a feature that we co-designed with them. So if I tap on the question mark, I can record how I'm feeling about that scan. So I'm feeling nervous about the scan. I'll tap the tick. And that information is played back to our management system so that clinicians can monitor mood changes over time. So that's a very quick tour of Exploro. There's lots more to it, and I've only picked out a few of the key features there. And just before I hand back to Megan, I just want to talk about one feature which we're going to be developing over the coming year. And it's a feature that stems again from my own personal experience and from my daughter's experience. So when Izzy was going through cancer treatment, her brother, who is 2 years younger than her, was 11. And for very obvious reasons, his needs as an 11-year-old boy were largely ignored by us for the course of that year because we were focused on Izzy. So I've become very interested in the psychosocial needs of siblings. One of the things that we're going to do over the course of the next year is when a hospital gives an access code to a parent, that parent will get access codes for all of their children, not just the sick child. So that means every child in the family can have an instance of Exploro. And because the parent has authorized that, it means that we can enable communication between each of those instances. So if you think back to when you saw my avatar in augmented reality, imagine seeing your brothers and sisters' avatars also in augmented reality and being able to share emojis, share a virtual hug. Imagine too the calendar system, being able to share calendars, getting notifications about what your brother and sister is going through. For instance, a notification that might say Jimmy's having an MRI tomorrow. Do you want to find out about MRI scans? So that, I think, is going to be a really important development for Exploro over the coming year and make us a much more holistic platform that supports the whole family. So on that, I'm now going to hand back to Megan, and she can talk a bit more about the really exciting plans we have for the partnership between Exploro and World Child Cancer over 2022. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much, Dom. Yeah, I feel blown away all over again, actually. It's just so amazing. Everything about it is absolutely stunning. And yeah, as I said before, I can just see so clearly the impact this has on children. It's really absolutely amazing. And I'm super excited to hear about the sibling development as well. I wasn't aware of that. And yeah, I always feel it's, as you said, it's siblings are always the last in line to receive any kind of help and support. So that's incredible. Yeah, so thank you so much. I'm sure there's not a person on this call who isn't really super impressed right now. So thank you. So I just briefly wanted to tell you a bit about how we're moving forward with the World Child Cancer and Exploro partnership. So as Dom mentioned, we did a 2-month pilot at Korle-Bu Teaching Hospital in Accra in Ghana at the end of December, at the end of last year, for 2 months. The pilot was incredible. It was great. It was managed by our child life specialist. So she was giving out the tablets to the children and parents and some of the healthcare professionals as well on the ward, and they were all providing feedback. So we collated all that feedback and shared it with Dom and the team. And so now we're at the stage where we want to implement that feedback and make all the changes so that we can then start rolling it out in our other programs. So our plan is that we want to initially roll it out to the other pediatric oncology centres in Ghana. Then we will make some more adaptations to make it completely appropriate for use in our programs in Cameroon, Malawi, and Mexico. And then the third phase of the project will be making more adaptations plus translations for use in our programs in Asia, which will initially be in Bangladesh and Nepal, and then eventually in Myanmar as well. So as Dom said, Exploro have been incredibly generous and are giving World Child Cancer use the licenses for free, which is an absolutely huge donation, incredibly generous. Where we now need to raise the funds is to make the adaptations, and they are actually relatively low cost for the impact that they're going to have. So we need to raise funds for adaptations and also for translations, and also then for the tablets, which the children will use in the hospitals. So it's an absolutely incredible project, super exciting. Still some work that needs to be done, but we're kind of ready to go once we've raised the funds that we need for this. So that's the end of our bits of talking, I think. So now what I'd like to do is invite you to ask any questions that you have. And as I said at the beginning, please either raise a hand and I can unmute you, or feel free to type any questions into the Q&A box at the bottom of the screen. Okay, I've got one question here from Prince. Will the children get to keep the tablets, or they will have to leave it at the hospital? Yep, great question. So the way this is going to work is we won't be able to provide a tablet per hospital bed. We will provide what we've decided is 1 tablet per 5 beds. And so the children will share the tablets. They will only be able to use them whilst they're in the hospital and or in what we refer to as the daycare centres, which is where the outpatients go. So no, they won't have their individual tablets. They'll be shared within the hospital. We're actually looking into potentially getting some sort of stands which the child can have by the hospital bed. So the tablet is fixed to a stand on an arm that they can then pull round, so they can play with Exploro, look at Exploro whilst they're in bed. But the children won't keep their tablets. Okay, next question from Domitil. Could you please give some examples of adaptations the children asked for in Ghana? Dom, do you want to take that one, or shall I?
So Yeah, I mean, I can mention a couple, and maybe you could mention a couple as well, Megan. So, um, one of the things that they've asked for is some more. So I showed you the MRI treatment experience. There are a couple of other treatments that aren't included in the current Exploro app that are very relevant to the treatment pathway in Ghana. So things like lumbar punctures. So we're going to create some new treatment experiences. Megan, what else sticks out in your mind from the
One of
list of
the
questions?
amusing ones was that some of the children said the games were too hard. um, but yes, there were a few other things. So um, one of them was the whether we'll be able to do this, but the voiceover. They asked if the voiceover could speak a bit slower. Just yeah. But the main the main adaptations, the sort of big adaptations that we need to do are, as Dom said, they're just adding in some different procedures, which the children in the countries where we work go through more than the children would here. And also they're done slightly differently, and they're the procedures that cause the most anxiety. So that's really important that we add those ones in.
There's a question about the parents' application from Anna. Shall I take that?
Yes, please, Dom. Yeah.
Yeah. So the parent application. Well, first of all, I'll describe what it does, and then I'll talk about whether or not it will be available in Ghana. So, essentially, the parent application exists primarily to gain permission from the parents for the child to use Exploro in the UK and in the US on their own device. The functionality beyond that is relatively limited. So there's the ability for the parents to add calendar events which appear in the child's calendar, and we're just developing a section in the parent app which is parent-specific information. Now, in the trial in Ghana, we didn't include either the management system or the parent application because Exploro is sitting on loan devices from the hospital, and so we didn't include that calendar functionality. However, there's no reason, absolutely no reason why the parent application can't be included in future deployments. We'll just need to think about how that works with Exploro sitting on loan devices rather than the children's own device.
Great.
And then there's a question about how big the team is that helped create the app. So I'll answer that one.
Yes.
Let me tell you a little bit about the process of developing the app. So prior to us setting up Exploro as its own company, I was running a digital agency, and Exploro was initially a side project within that agency, and we had a team of about 20 or so working on Exploro in agency downtime. So in other words, when they weren't working on commercial projects, I had my team working on Exploro. And then we spun it out as a separate company. I left the agency and I now work full time on Exploro. We're growing the team. We're a team of 10 at the moment, and we still use some of the resource from my old agency. But there are a lot of different disciplines, as I'm sure you can imagine, involved in creating an app like this. So we've got developers with different skill sets as well. So and then designers and project managers and script writers. So yeah, quite a few people.
Great. And then we have another question from Prince. Can the child use the app on their parents' mobile phone or tablets? Will they have to pay for the app?
Do you want me to answer that?
If you could just explain about that it needs to be the latest technology, please.
Yeah. So absolutely, they can use their parents' mobile phones or tablets. It does just depend on the parent having access to a relatively modern device. and very often in Africa that's not the case. So so long as they've got a device that's capable of running Exploro, they can absolutely use it. And will they have to pay for the app? Absolutely not.
Excellent, thank you. And another question, will you do a pilot test in every country it's used for, and how much work will it be to make the changes? So I'll take that one, Dom. So yes, we will always treat it as a pilot when we start using the app in any of the new countries that we do, just because we want it to be the best it possibly can. So we'll run a pilot, collect feedback, and then go back to Dom and his team with any suggested improvements. As in the answer to the question, how much work and time will it be to make the changes? Dom can probably answer this better, but it's really dependent on what those changes are. The smaller things, so for example, if we want to add another healthcare professional, that's much smaller the job than creating a whole new environment. So changing the ward, for example, so it looks very much like a specific ward within one of our hospitals.
And just to add to what Megan just said there, so it's every time we go into a new culture, making the app culturally appropriate for that culture requires a certain degree of work. So in the demo, I talked about the avatar name set for Ghanaian children. We would look to do that in every culture that we deploy in. And what you probably couldn't tell from the name set is the way that works in the UK is the avatars have very funny names. So things like Marvin Chewy Buns would be a name. And so we got the Ghanaian children to think about what names would be funny in ACAN. So whilst unless you're familiar with Ghanaian culture, that's not immediately apparent. We would seek to do that in every culture where we deploy Exploro.
Right. I love this next question, Dom. Anonymous attendee asks, what would your dream be for Exploro and World Child Cancer in 5 years if anything was possible?
That's a fantastic question. I think the dream is that we're able, from Exploro's point of view, that we're able to support every child that World Child Cancer supports, and if every child could have their own device, that would be even better.
Yeah, I agree. It'd be absolutely incredible for every child, and yeah, to have the access to this and for it to be completely relevant and adapted for every program that we work in would be, yeah, absolutely stunning. Okay, so next question, what are the timelines for rollout to wider centres in Ghana and other countries mentioned in Africa and Asia? Excellent question, and the answer really is it's dependent on funding. We're ready to go, Dom's team are ready to go, so we're just waiting now to raise the funds to roll it out to our other programs. Next question is, how much money are you looking at to raise for the trials, adaptations and translations? So the round figure to roll it out to all of our programs, we are looking at £100,000. That's the round figure to roll it out across all the programs. That's our ultimate aim. That is what we're really aiming for. What we've done though is we have broken this down into a phased approach so that we can roll it out on a slower basis as we raise the funds. And I do have full breakdown of budget plans. So if anyone would like more information about how much it costs to roll out the different phases of the project, then please do get in contact, and I have this information readily available.
I'll answer the next one, Megan.
Thank you, Dom.
Will this app be available through the App Store? So the way Exploro works is It's currently downloadable from the Google Play and the Apple App Stores, but you do need a 3-word code to access the app, and that code is given to the end user by a participating healthcare organisation. And in this case, the healthcare organisation is World Child Cancer. So without a code from World Child Cancer, you wouldn't be able to get beyond the login screen.
Great. And next question is, how many children were in the trial in Ghana? So we had, I think it was 30 children who were involved in the trial. And then we also had some of the nurses, some of the doctors, the hospital school teacher, the child life specialist. They all took part in the trial and provided us with feedback as well. Okay, I think that is all of our questions. I just wanted to ask.
Last
there's one more. Sure.
Okay, so shall I answer that?
Please.
Yeah, so by restricting the usage of the tablet, will that affect the success of your upcoming development plans regarding the siblings' interactions? So, let me talk first about why you can't just download Exploro from the app stores and get access without a code, and that's because if we enabled that, then we wouldn't have a business model to sell to healthcare organisations in the UK, USA, and Europe, which is how we fund the business. So we can't give unfettered access to the application. It has to go through a subscribing organisation. Will that affect the success of the development plans regarding the sibling interactions? Well, no, in the sense that for any child going, whether they're using Exploro via a paid subscription through a hospital in the UK, Europe, or USA, or whether they're using it via a free subscription with World Child Cancer, the parents will automatically get access for all of the children in their family.
Great. Right, I am conscious of time, but there is one more question in there. So this is from Jewel. Is there a timeline for starting in Bangladesh? For those of you who don't know, Jewel is our excellent program coordinator in Bangladesh. So I'm assuming this means that Jewel is very keen to have Exploro in Bangladesh as soon as possible. And Jewel, yes, we would like to get it to Bangladesh as soon as we can. Again, we're really dependent on funding. But as soon as we get those funds, we will definitely be rolling it out to paediatric oncology centres in Bangladesh. Excellent. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for joining us today. It's been an excellent session. A particularly big thank you to you, Dom.
Thank you.
For an excellent demonstration, excellent presentation, but also for all the incredible work that you're doing with this app and making life-changing experiences for children with cancer. We're truly grateful, and for your generosity and kindness of donating the licenses to us. It's really quite incredible. Thank you. Thank you. So just a few things to end. We will be sharing a link for this webinar following the recording, for the webinar following today's session. So please feel free to share it with anyone who you think might be interested. I also just wanted to quickly take the opportunity to let you know that World Child Cancer, we're really proud we've been selected to run a UK aid match appeal. So this appeal will start on Monday, the 4th of April and run for 3 months. And what that means is anyone who gives a donation, any individuals who give a donation who are living in the UK, their donation will be doubled by the UK government for that 3-month period. And you will receive an email from World Child Cancer on the 4th of April with more information about this. And finally, just to say we will be back with another one of these sessions, a Global Breakfast Talk in June. So thank you all very much for joining. And yeah, I hope you have a good rest of day and see you next time. Take care. Thank you.
Thanks.